Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Valentine Lister, and this is my series on the minor arcana for the suit of swords. And today we're going to be covering the Eight of Swords. So in this video, we're going to get to know this card really well. We're going to get to know what other cards in the tarot rule this card, as well as the astrological correspondences. We're going to go into any of the symbolism in the card that I think you need to know about, as well as the upright and the reversed meanings. But before I get into it, I just wanted to let you guys know about a special discount I'm offering on readings with me. So right now you can get $20 off your very first reading with me. All you have to do is go to my website, valentinelister.com, go to book your reading, and you can use the code 20 bucks. Now that offer is good until December 31st, 2021. So you might be wondering, what is it that I offer? Well, I offer tarot card readings and birth chart readings, which is your astrological birth chart, as well as, transits coming up for you. That is live. That's a live one-on-one session on Zoom chat with yours truly and yours truly. So sometimes people are wondering, well, what's better? What's the difference between tarot readings and astrology, like birth chart readings? For tarot card readings, they're really better for if you want guidance and advice. You have like a question and you're like, I want to know what to do. So tarot cards are better for giving you like specific guidance geared like towards that question. With your birth chart, it also does that too, but it's better for understanding like what the blueprint of your life is, what your fate or destiny was, what the stars had to say about like what you were meant for in this life, what your relationships would be like, your career, work, or children, like things of that nature. Your chart covers that, and it shows like this pattern of your life, and it's really beautiful and awesome. And I also do some transit forecasting to let you know what's up ahead for you, so that you can be prepared for it, mentally prepare for it, spiritually prepare, whatnot. So anyway, I'm going to put the info to book and get that discount in the description box below underneath the timestamps. All right, so let's get into this video. Okay, the Eight of Swords. So I gave this card a little nickname for you so you can get to know it a little bit better. And I like to call this card Seeing No Way Out. Okay, I'm going to get right into the rulers of the card, which ties directly into the astrology of the card. So this card is ruled by both the Wheel of Fortune and the Lovers. Why? Because the Eight of Swords is connected to Jupiter in Gemini. So we have the Wheel of Fortune that represents Jupiter, and we have the Lovers, which represents Gemini. And for those of you who haven't seen my videos before, you can kind of think of it as these major arcana cards represent like gods and goddesses in zodiac signs. So there's a god or goddess wearing the disguise of a zodiac sign, like they're in like this feel or this costume or environment. And these gods and goddesses show up in everyday life for us. They don't announce that they're gods and goddesses, and they would look something like this Eight of Swords right here. Also, for my astrologers, the Eight of Swords represents the first decan of Gemini in the chart. Also, guys, stop writing this down. You don't need to take notes. I wrote all of this information down for you in a really awesome, super organized PDF called the Tarot and Astrology Cheat Sheet. I'm going to put that link down in the description below so that you can get it. Okay, so I'm going to go right into the hidden symbolism. I'm going to keep the major arcana cards here for now because I like to see how they show up here. Now, okay, so first of all, like sometimes the major arcana cards show up and it's like super obvious how they're tied together. This one, not so much. So I'll walk you through. So the first thing that really stuck out to me is that the color of this woman's dress is the same, looks the same as the Hermanubis. She's kind of looking like this Hermanubis here. And if you notice, like this Hermanubis guy here is connected to the wheel, just like she is wrapped up like with these like I don't know, sheets, clothes, ropes, I don't know. They're both tied to the wheel. Now, if you want to know more about the Wheel of Fortune, I do have a video about that. I'll put a link up here for that video so you can get to know the Hermanubis a little bit more. Basically, the Hermanubis was tied to Hermes Trismegistus in ancient Egypt, who historians believe was the creator of astrology, and he was so smart they associated him with the god Mercury. Hermes is the other name. That's the Greek name. Mercury is the Roman name. We ended up using the Roman names for astrology. So the wheel that he is on, this Hermanubis is on, is related to the Wheel of Fortune, right? So related to fate or destiny. And so the binds that are around that are tying this woman relate to being tied to the Wheel of Fortune. So meaning that the universe creates circumstances beyond our control. The universe is much bigger than us, and we have to figure out like how to navigate this life with that reality. And just the natural restrictions that life give us. A lot of times we think about people giving us restrictions, but life, just nature itself, provides restrictions. Like try to stay up more than 24 hours, 36 hours, right? Your body is going to shut down and eventually just pass out. So those types of just natural restrictions that we have. And one thing I noticed too is like also just looking at the colors on the ground, the colors relate to the wheel. Like all of the colors are the same as the colors in the Wheel of Fortune. So like the ground is orange, just like this wheel, and the water is blue like the sky, and then we have all of these gray with the clouds. So giving you like even more of a feel for the connection to this card. And these colors do tie into, I will get to the Lovers card and how that ties in. But right now I'm going to go to just like looking at this Eight of Swords and just looking at them and thinking like they're going within their minds, like very Gemini style, to figure out how to get out of their predicament. And we can know that because this person actually has a blindfold around their eyes, meaning that they're going into their minds, like their mental abilities and ideas. And they are also surrounded by swords to protect them. And so remember that the swords, the whole element, represents the element of air, the mind, ideas, thoughts, and communications. And with Gemini and the association to Mercury, we also, one thing to keep in mind too, is that Mercury can cross realms, and that's where the Lovers card ties in because it relates to Gemini. So Gemini is both in the realm of the mind, philosophy, and spirituality, represented by this man on the side. So this man is in front of this bush, and this actually represents the 12 planets of astrology, the 12 signs of the zodiac, and even like there's 3 little things pointing up on the flames, like 3 sections to the flames, and that represents the decans. Mercury is also associated with like having this element of being super grounded and practical, like this woman here. So the woman is in front of the serpent and the apple tree, and so she represents like groundedness, the earth, and fertility. Now with Gemini, we have the clouds here, we have the angel. Gemini is more related to the masculine expression of Mercury, where Virgo would be the earthiness. But regardless, even if Mercury is in a masculine sign, he still has the ability to have that groundedness and practicality as well. So we notice also that, like, so tying it back to the Eight of Swords, we notice that this woman's foot, she has one foot on the ground, on the earth, and like in a practical way, and she has the other one in the water, connected to emotion, mental clarity, and serenity. Also, she is connected to the realm of the mind and thoughts, right? She has these swords, she's going into her mind, and also there's a ton of gray in this card representing wisdom, mixing of worlds, mixing of black and white. Wisdom is somewhere in between. So seeking balance between the realm of ideas, higher learning, and also like your lived experience, that groundedness where you're actually experiencing life. And then I see this castle in the back, and it's so secure, right? You're like, but she's not in that castle. She's out here. This woman has left that castle for whatever reason, to experience the world, to know what life is all about, and to get involved in it, which is completely a Jupiter thing. Like whether it's up or whether it's down, I'm going to experience it, learn from it, gain wisdom, and make the best of it no matter what. But with the Gemini association, like Gemini is not really leaving things up to chance. Gemini is all about planning for the future. So she's experiencing life, but she also has this element of protecting herself and being kind of street smart by hatching a plan to figure out like how to think her way out of the situation in Gemini style. So another thing to know about Jupiter in Gemini is that it's in its detriment. So here's the reason why. First of all, the god Jupiter and Mercury got into like lots of troubles and shenanigans. When Jupiter got bored, he would come down from heaven, go visit Mercury, and they would, because he thought he was so fun, and they would go out and get into trouble, create shenanigans, which I understand. I'm a Sagittarius sun. My husband is a Gemini sun, and I can totally see that. We can really we can really have a lot of fun, maybe a little too much fun sometimes. So anyway, Jupiter works naturally with like intuition, faith, trust, seeing the big picture, seeing everything connected together. Like Jupiter a lot of times is not necessarily going to see people as like separate from us necessarily, like in that, so for example, like Jupiter, in like the current like climate of everybody's debating like what's right and wrong, and that you have to choose a side. Jupiter is going to be like, well, there's wisdom in what everyone's saying, and maybe we could find a way to come together. So that's like a very Jupiter thing. And Jupiter energy takes risks and just goes with their inspiration and intuition because they know there's some wisdom behind it, and so they really are in tune with that, the soul driving you forward. So Gemini, on the other hand, he's a little different. He's always planning things out and preparing what to do like ahead of time. And with Gemini, the mind is always like 10 steps ahead of everyone and trying to figure out things ahead of time. And they pay attention to every little detail. So super analytical, super skeptical, tries to find a way out of different ways of doing things or manipulating things, and is focused on the smaller details. So it's not, Mercury energy is in it, like Jupiter's in detriment here because Gemini has trouble with leaving things to chance or fate or just letting things go with the flow. Their mind is so active and they're always like trying to figure things out and plan things out. So there's this element of Jupiter and Gemini has trouble like relaxing and just letting things go without trying to like mess with things and make them work out a certain way. So Jupiter is out of its element. It can create some anxiety, some discomfort with Jupiter and Gemini, but Jupiter is still Jupiter. So it's still going to do its thing in Gemini, and will just be more like really amplify that cleverness, mischievousness, and we'll probably get into like some sticky situations like here, some trouble that they may or may not be able to get themselves out. All right, so I'm going to get into the colors of the card that I wanted to point out and their meanings, because just getting back to this, because knowing the meanings can really help you understand the cards. Like if you forget everything else and you know like some of the symbolism, you're good to go. Okay, so the red represents passion, desire, vitality, and courage. The white, like on these binds, represent purity, abstract thought, and innocence. The orange represents warmth, energy, activity, drive, and courage. And the blue, the light blue, represents serenity, mental clarity, and compassion. And I mentioned before, gray represents wisdom and the mixing of black and white. Okay, so the numerology of the card. This card is associated with the number 8. So it represents, that represents like the infinity symbol, abundance, material prosperity, worldly power, and influence. So the upright meaning of this card. So if you get this card, it could mean that you're being restricted by everyday circumstances that life hands you or hands the person. So we may have a plan, life interferes, and then we have to figure out a new action. And it will all work out for the best, though, because like this is at the end of the day a Jupiter ruled card. So if you relax, trust, and let go of plans, or be flexible with plans, you'll discover that you'll find something else that you wanted does happen, or a different and better plan comes to your mind. And another interpretation is using like your analytical mind to do something for a higher purpose that requires some element of luck to it. So I want to give you some examples. So when I got this card in my tarot journal, like my husband had hip surgery, and so both of our plans for the day were like thwarted by the circumstances of life. So I had it like an astrology class that day, so I couldn't go to it because I was taking care of him. He wanted to go to the mall. He just had surgery. He wanted a new haircut, get clothes, because he was like off from work. But he like needed to recover. So I was like, you can't go. Like the physical therapist that came over, like, don't go. So he couldn't do what he wanted to do. But I realized, and he realized, we really enjoyed spending more time with each other. I enjoyed helping to take care of him, just relaxing with him and spending time where we weren't doing anything. And he was able to get the rest he needed. Also, we had a discussion that day about his Mercury placement. He's very Mercury, has 6 of his planets in Mercury signs. So my husband is very mercurial, to say the least. We were talking about how that mind helps with things like stock trading or game playing. He plays like chess. And with stocks, at the end of the day, it is a game of luck related to fortune. And with chess, it's just like being in this bigger community or like playing this like really complex game, which is super fun with your analytical mind. So another day, this is my favorite example. I went to a fair and I had a lot of experiences that day. When I put this card, you can think about a carnival, totally. So I wanted to find like kiddie rides for my 3-year-olds. I couldn't find them, and like we were super disappointed. We were like, they're not here. So then we're waiting. This lady finds us. She hands us a stuffed ice cream cone that she won for my daughter, and she's like, "Here, do you want this?" And I'm like, "I'm not sure, but it was like so cool. Like the toy she brought her." I was like, "Okay." So we accepted it, and then we went to go see the pig races. And we missed the pig races, but right after we missed them, we found the kiddie rides that originally I wanted to find. So that is very much like what I'm talking about, where your plans get messed up, but then you find a better one, and you just have to be flexible and be willing to be playful. Also, I saw a literal visual of this card. It was so cool. I saw when we were there, right before we left, I saw a circus performer like walking on a literal wheel. So you can think of this wheel. The circus performer was like around the wheel, and it had like 2 different wheels on it, and he was walking on it, and he had a blindfold on, guys. He was walking around this wheel that was going around like kind of like a Ferris wheel with 2 wheels on the side, if you could kind of visualize that. And he had a blindfold on. It was so freaking cool. And it reminded me just of this card. It was so amazing. So it was an example of like someone who really worked very, very hard on a skill, and created a performance that brought like amazing and like amazement and wonder, and it was like breathtaking. But that guy didn't just like hop on the wheel and just start doing that without like practicing a lot and coming up with a plan and perfecting a skill. So that's a very good example of what like Jupiter in Gemini would represent. I also just want to mention before I get into the reversed meaning that tarot journal is no joke. You guys, if you really want to learn the cards, start a tarot journal. And if you already have a journal, you can just add, the card you pull for the day. But if you want to get started, I have a video on that. I'm going to put that here because I do think that's probably the most important thing that has really upped my game with being able to do readings, with that actually like creating a journal and seeing what actually happens. My experiences related to the card and what they actually mean. And when you start doing that, the cards just start talking to you and this whole world just opens up. So the reversed meaning. So if the card comes out reversed, it means the energy of this card is being blocked or avoided. So you can kind of even think of a retrograde. So there might be breakdowns or difficulties related to like miscommunication or technology, difficulties with like deals, agreements, contracts that don't work out, or relationship issues due to not being on the same page. It will still work out for the best though. But really having like circumstances like really that technology communication or just things not like, you could think of like a retrograde with this card, but then it's still Jupiter and it's going to be okay. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this video on the Eight of Swords. And this is just a quick reminder that if you like this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified for whenever I release a new video. And my next video will be on the Nine of Swords. Also, if you guys want to catch up on the videos I've already done for this series, I'm going to leave a Minor Arcana playlist right here, as well as a related video that I think you'll like up here. All right, guys, love you so much. Take care. Bye. If you like this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified for whenever I release a new video every single week.